Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about the show She-Hulk and how it looks at woke versus anti-woke culture. Now, this video is not going to be a review of the show or even to judge how woke or not woke She-Hulk is, but rather to look at it through a lens of the lens of woke versus anti-woke culture and just evaluate how it and use it as a way to look at I'm not, use it as a way to the lens to look at woke and anti-woke culture and all that stuff and how it you know how it speaks on it and all that stuff. Yeah, I will say though that I did enjoy She-Hulk enough. It's kind of weird, but it's fun. It's not something to take too seriously. But that's not what the review is about or this video is about. It's just to examine how it relates to the world because I do believe there is a very fine line between anti-woke culture and actual racism, and unfortunately that line is becoming even thinner as more misunderstandings and anger is going around on the internet, and I just feel like it's something that needs to be talked about in a way that is not super critical and just evaluating many sides of the issues and just how that happens. Yeah, I had stuff in my head, but I didn't write any of this down. So if I'm just all over the place, forgive me for that. So yeah, because there's a lot of modern times. There's a lot of stuff oh, I hate this and I don't like that, and and it's oh, it's because this character is a minority and you hate minorities or something, and sometimes that is not the case and sometimes it is, and it's there's just so much going around, it's hard to tell the difference between what's what and who's being hateful and and all that. Does somebody not like the black casting of Little Mermaid because they're racist or because of other factors? And there actually is a video I watched about it, and I don't know if I'm going to leave the link, but it seemed to be a very decent analysis. I will say that there's also cultural stuff, at least in my experience or in my opinion, there's also cultural time period and would this actually work for this time period and the culture that you're going for, and what does it mean for geography and demographics, and I'm not going to get into all of that. So but I am gonna just just look at how valid how is the criticism of these things, and how we react about it and just all that stuff. So at first when I started She-Hulk, I actually wasn't sure how to feel about it. The very first episode, and I feel like they should have released the first two episodes instead of the first episode. First of all, these were kind of smaller episodes, and they did 2 episodes for Obi-Wan, and then they did 3 episodes for Andor, and then when She-Hulk comes around, they were only released 1 episode. And the first episode is kind of just after I was done with it, at least, I was I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I like where this is going or not, and I just didn't know. Fortunately, in later episodes, I felt it got way more entertaining, and I didn't feel the stuff that was kind of I don't know if this is insulting or not. I don't feel like She-Hulk is quite as oh, hateful as everybody wants, as a lot of people are making it out to be. It definitely doesn't have there is obviously some trolls and stuff, but it's not oh yeah, I hate you because you're a guy or something, or I hate you because you're, well, I mean, I guess she's technically white too, but she's not a guy. And, well, she's also green at some points, which, I'm just throwing that out there. Don't, don't hate me for that, please. But, yeah, but, like, the first episode, it wasn't, there's, the thing was, when it kind of first introduced, She-Hulk, it's like, okay, cool, she's Bruce Banner's cousin, she gets, like, the blood and everything, and so she kind of has the genetic symptoms that he does, and it's kind of like, I can go with that, but then it's like, when she first finds her powers, she's, like, automatically, like, she's dealt with the inner beast and stuff, and, and she's, like, suddenly, like, oh yeah, I'm better than you, and it heavily seems to imply it's because she's a woman, so her problems are, she's had more problems in life.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or I might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. So all of this just feels like projecting a lot of onto me.
See.
No, I'm doing this.
Okay, this is completely new territory.
You guys have outgrown your binder, cuz. Love you, Bruce, but I'm going home.
And it almost gives, like, this impression that Bruce Banner's feelings or his problems just don't matter, like, because he's not a lady and they don't matter. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's not what they're trying to say, but that's what it kind of felt like. Felt like it was saying, okay, I've had more problems in life, so my problems matter, and, your problems, you had a beast because you didn't have any problems in life, and, it kind of felt like it was just saying that, your problems, if you're a guy, you don't have problems, or if you do, they're not as significant as the problems that women face in life. And sometimes, like, I do understand that, sometimes in some fields, and I hope society's getting better. I guess I can't really say. I guess I'm kind of biased in saying I hope it got better because it's getting better. And I actually don't know. I don't know if people are making a bigger deal out of it. I haven't actually experienced some of the stuff. So, but I mean, just saying that, somebody's problems aren't as significant as yours because, they're not a minority, just like ignoring somebody's problems and, like, saying, okay, you're not a minority, you don't have any problems. That's just not fair. Like, we shouldn't compare, like, we shouldn't compare our problems with others, or, like, say other people's problems don't matter just because they're not like us. That's just not. And I didn't know if that's exactly what I was saying, and it's kind of what it felt like, though, and I just didn't know, because it's like, Bruce has had a lot of problems. You shouldn't just say that his problems aren't significant because, just because he's a guy and stuff, and that he didn't deal with any big problems before the Hulk. I mean, maybe he didn't, but, like, I do also like how Bruce was, really supportive of her. He, I can kind of, like, he's kind of like, okay, I can kind of see how he was kind of disappointed with, okay, but that feeling of maybe my problems don't matter. But, he was very supportive, and I liked that side of Bruce, and it just, I liked how he was encouraging more than discouraging. It was kind of like, and, and I'm sorry if I'm a bad speaker, but, yeah, so it didn't, like, make it feel like Hulk was, like, it didn't feel like it was a complete insult on Hulk's character, even if I feel like it kind of got, like, a little bit mixed up in there. And at the end of the episode, it's like, we don't really know where this is going, so, like, maybe she has her own personal problems with She-Hulk that she doesn't know about, and all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting. I will say that, even though her character to some may be annoying, I actually find her kind of fun of a character. So it's not like, she's just annoying, like, oh yeah, women are superior to guys or something. It's kind of like just, it's bringing in a good, in my opinion, a good female character without, like, you know, necessarily putting down guys too much. I mean, and it's just, it's just we shouldn't try to compare ourselves which one's better. It's just, it's not fair when it goes one way. It's not fair when it goes the other way. And, like we see Daredevil later on, and he's kind of, he's cool too. And it's like, oh yeah, we can have a cool guy character and a cool lady character. They don't have to be like, we don't have to say which one's better. We can just have two cool characters, one a guy, one a woman. And that's kind of what I want to see. I just want to see, no real, like, I don't want to see them going like, oh yeah, one's better, one's not. It's just not fun when we kind of just get into those arguments. And yeah, she did go like, oh, this is my show.
She-Hulk smash.
But that was more like a joke about her show rather than like saying, oh, she's better than Daredevil. Like, she should be the focus. And so it's kind of like, yeah, the different fighting technique. It's just, they do it in a fun way that's not really like insulting in most of the cases. Now, I will get into the point where it's like, when it does talk about the online trolls and stuff. I think the big problem about like the online trolls is I do believe there are online trolls in real life, and some are pretty mean. Like, I remember, I forgot her name. Ingrid. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Ingram Moses or whatever from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, okay, so they were like, oh, you're gonna get people saying, you shouldn't be here because you're a black woman, and it's like, that's just ridiculous. Like, this is a Star Wars universe. We're in space, and we literally have people of all different, like, there should be no, like, boundaries of what kind of people can be in the Star Wars universe. Like, anybody, that you can have any ethnicity, you can just have anybody in Star Wars universe because it's such an expansive universe. And I'm like, I feel like with Rings of Power, which I haven't seen yet, but like, it's just a small place on the map. Middle Earth is just a small place on the map, bringing everybody together, kind of like, it kind of goes like, how big is Middle Earth? Is it really that small where everybody's already come together? And I don't like the idea of a small Middle Earth. That's just me. And it kind of continuity with the other films. If we expanded beyond the border of the Middle Earth, then that would be super cool. But let's go back to Star Wars. It's like Star Wars is this big universe. Why not? And, at first it was like, okay, I think Star Wars is overreacting. But then right away you're getting comments. And maybe the comments are just in response to what Star Wars was saying. And they were just like hate comments to her. And it just is like, okay, why? I can understand not liking her character. She's kind of like off the wall of a character, but I kind of find that fun. It's like, okay, she's an off the wall character. Let's just enjoy watching the show. And if that's too much for you, then that's fine. I don't necessarily blame you, but it's like, you can cast literally anybody in Star Wars. Doesn't matter. I actually feel like the guy in Andor is kind of more, more of a generic white guy than Reva in Star Wars. So we've gotten into a side tangent of Star Wars. So, but like, you get all these, there's like this stuff, and it's like, and She-Hulk, and it's like, these people commenting stuff online, and it's like, why all the women superheroes, and then there's this one character who's like, I don't mind women superheroes, but make your own. And that actually I've actually heard that argument before, and I can feel like that's actually a valid argument in some scenarios. Like, why can't we, if we're going to have, you know, diversity in films, why do we need to use old characters? Why can't we make new characters? Um, and it's like, if you look at the case of She-Hulk alone, though, this is actually real world in the show She-Hulk, except if you go to the finale, you break the fourth wall completely. So I don't even know what how to say about that. But it's like She-Hulk is a character. She's Bruce Banner's cousin. She didn't choose her powers. It's not like she went like, oh yeah, I'm gonna replace the Hulk. She just ended up with powers, and it's like, you know, she ended up being a Hulk, and it's like, okay, so, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't. She's not even replacing Hulk. She's just like another type of Hulk, and I can see going into the future, more Hulk media and more She-Hulk media. I don't think they're necessarily competing with each other. They're just, they can both coexist, so it's not like an absolute replacement. But I do feel like that's, like, in a lot of scenarios, a valid criticism, and I do feel like that's one of these things that the show kind of, I'm not sure about it, like, it kind of shuts down trolls and possibly valid criticism at the same time, and it's kind of like, that kind of shuts down, actual healthy discussions, and, and it just kind of creates more, separation and anger, like, well, that's not what I was saying, and it's like, or maybe I was saying that, but, like, also, there was this guy who's like, I don't like, Lady Thor, it's not because she's a woman, I just don't like her, and it's like, okay, I can see both reasons why somebody would say that, because they're trying to defend themselves for not liking women, and, some people who legitimately don't like her. I actually haven't seen that much criticism of Lady Thor. I feel like they're just jumping and expecting everybody to hate her, and maybe there is criticism to Lady Thor out there. I don't really know. I actually haven't looked at many reviews for Thor 4, because I know that there are negative reviews, but I don't think it revolves around Jane becoming a Thor. And, and I actually think that was actually one of the highlights of the film. I liked how they brought Jane back and she could actually save the day with Thor. But it's like, it's just a lot of, raises a lot more confusion and stuff. And there's just like, it's like, okay, so if you want to address the point, you're going to be passed off as a troll. Yeah, it just doesn't always, it's just not always conductive to the situation, and, I think I had more to say here, but I forget sometimes. But, not addressing the situation fully in the context of the situation is just gonna make people more, like, upset and angry rather than build a better understanding. And I do like how after all that stuff, She-Hulk came in and she was like, do I have time to deal with trolls? Because I kind of understand that. It's like, even if you have genuine criticism for your stuff, if you're making something you're proud of, you should focus on what you want to make rather than how people respond. Obviously, some of the criticism may be valid, but it's like, and, you can look at the criticism and handle it honestly and go like, okay, so, you don't like Reva because she's over the top, off the wall. That's, or, you don't like the casting of Black Shaggy because that just, what's even the point of using the same characters if you're going to change it so much, which I actually have really no opinions on that Velma show because it's just, it's supposed to be an adult show, MA, and that's not really the stuff that I'm into. So, but it kind of does, if you're going to make so many changes to the character where they hardly even represent the same character, then why are you even changing using that character in the first place? And, that I feel like is very valid criticism, at least. But it's like, also, criticism is optional. Like, nobody has to listen to any criticism. Whether, if you're really wanting to make something in a certain way, and people don't like it, then, that's them. You don't have to let that be the basis of how you tell your story. And I do like how She-Hulk's like, I got my own stuff to worry about. I don't have time to deal with trolls. And that I think is a very good response. And I don't think... And so that's kind of what, made it feel good. But that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a place to, vent the valid criticism. And it just, it just causes, when you shut down valid criticism along with trolling, you just cause more confusion on what is real and what's not. And you cause more backlash, which creates even more confusion. And so, yeah, so I feel like this show is very, I feel like it's very in the middle, and I think that's why this is a good show to evaluate this way, because I didn't find it too, insulting, but at the same time, I do think it does have some things that are very good to address and may help with society. There was the point when it's showing the Hulk parody from the old show, and it's she's dealing with online trolls. Hulk King's like, I hate you, and she's like, I hate you back.
And pursued by online trolls.
That's pretty much what the internet works like. It doesn't really help anything when you do it like that. It just causes more people to go I hate you back. And that's, so I do feel like She-Hulk is, I think, a pretty fun show, and it's there may be some stuff that you may consider woke or in it, but at the same time, it it's something to discuss. I think healthy discussion is what it's, instead of getting all angry and stuff, and there will be people who will get angry either way, and, but I think healthy discussion is a very good approach to, this kind of stuff. I think that, yeah. And I think there can be, and I do look forward to seeing She-Hulk again, because I think she's a fun character. I think she has her flaws, but so do a lot of other characters. I actually think, if you compare her to, she's definitely not up there with Wanda. Wanda is, top tier Marvel character, in my opinion, until, Doctor Strange, too, kind of. But, yeah, it's a lot of people are okay, these Marvel shows, they're all about women, and they're doing a lot of women. There is this, that one scene in Endgame really felt unnatural, because, it's okay, all these women characters, it's cool to have them, saving the day, but, why are they all lined up like this? Either they were just waiting on the sidelines for their woman moment, or all the guys are waiting off on the sidelines, and that's why only the women are available. And it's just, it makes no sense. In some cases, there are some, just really weird stuff. But I think She-Hulk is, one of the lower stuff. But there's, it's getting all confusing, and it's people are so, upset about, all this woke content that they just end up going anything with diversity and minorities and women, it's all just woke, and that's not the case. There's, some genuinely good, I mean, I don't necessarily say Miss Marvel is, top quality, Marvel shows. I want to say it's up at the top, but I mean, I don't see how, Miss Marvel is anything woke. It's just a fun entertainment about a Pakistani girl, and why should that be a problem? But people are all like, oh, they're trying to force this on us, and I think it has a lot to do with with Star Wars 8. People were being accused of being racist because they don't like Star Wars 8, and I honestly feel like Star Wars 8 was there's a whole different issue with Star Wars 8. Holdo was probably like my least favorite character in it because she felt too like modern, typical American woman, and I know that there has been, and I know I've said that there can be anybody in the Star Wars universe, but I don't know. I feel like the sequels were a lot like just modern American, and it's just like okay, but that's a whole different deal, and I don't think it's best to go into it in this video, but it's like, it's like there's a lot of like, if you don't like this, you are racist, and so it makes people just attack anything with diversity because they know they're going to be attacked anyway, so why not attack it? And they don't even watch it, and they totally miss out. Like, I feel like, you could probably say that the Marvels is not, on the highlight of Marvel films just because Captain Marvel is kind of, as a personality, kind of generic. There's Miss Marvel, which I feel like is more fun of a personality, but her show's not the most exciting show, in my opinion, which, it may be for some people, which is good, but, and then there's gonna be, I don't know, I think that, just using women as characters is not an excuse for, lacking substance, and, it's not to say that these films necessarily don't have any substance. Like I said, She-Hulk really does feel like it has, it's fun. I mean, you can't take it, it's not the most serious Marvel project. I don't know where I'd rank it, but I had fun watching it, and so I'm not complaining. I had nothing to say about Miss Marvel negatively. I think that a huge thing is that I was focused on a lot of other stuff when Miss Marvel came out, so that wasn't my primary focus. Like when Moon Knight came out, which I still need to edit the reaction for. But also Moon Knight is just pretty awesome, but like I said, just because Marvel women are hit and miss doesn't mean that all of them are bad. Just like the guy superheroes are sometimes hit and miss. Like I don't care much for Superman. If you want the honest truth, he's like the most generic superhero ever, and yeah. But there's it's like there's still characters like Wanda who are like super awesome. Like I would definitely go see a Scarlet Witch movie in theaters if it's made by the same crew as WandaVision. I hope they don't. Nothing against Sam Raimi, but I don't think he quite captured Wanda's character, and Danny Elfman didn't capture her theme either. But yeah, it's just like we can enjoy these films without let's just try to enjoy the films, and there will be people who are like, oh, trying to attack everybody. It's like but instead of getting all triggered, it's probably best to try to handle it in a good debate way. But there's a lot of I'm wondering if there's anything else to say. I was planning for this to be about half an hour, but if it's not quite half an hour, if it goes a little bit over, I don't know how much people want to watch of me talking and stuff. I know some of my reactions are a little bit longer. But yeah. I do feel like, I think She-Hulk does a good job of giving a woman character, an important role, a fun role, without bringing down most guys. I didn't there's also the thing when I'm watching some of this media. It's like, I don't like it when they show guys being nasty, just because I don't like guys being portrayed that way, and also just because I don't like seeing guys mean to women. I don't like those kind of guys, and it's just, it's not always fun to watch, guys being that way. But I feel like, even though, like, She-Hulk did have her things, like, pro-women things to say, she was also like, it was like, okay, let's just have fun with this character, and, it's not like saying that, you can have a fun, cool lady character. I mean, like, some people may debate that she's not, like, the most, she's kind of fun, but, she may not be the best Marvel character, but I would, but she's, like, fun of a character enough, and it's like, you can have fun with this character without having to go, like, you can have a fun story about a woman character, and, go into topics about, life as a woman without, being too condescending to guys. Like, like I said, we still get Daredevil being cool. We still get, like, Hulk's still a really nice guy when it comes to that. So it's like, we can focus on Jen and, like, just have a story about her. And, just enjoy it without, like, getting too condescending. And there's, like, obviously some of that with the trolls and, like I've discussed this whole video. And, yeah, but I think it just addresses it in a way that, it's for discussion, I think. And that's what I think makes it, worthwhile to, if you want to watch it. If you don't, that's also, like, I don't know. But I do think that before you, like, say how horrible and woke it is, and, all that, I think you need to at least understand what it's going for, and, and there's going to be, like, obviously some, like, debate on whether, how good it is or not, and, but I think for the most part, it handles it not too poorly. It handles it well enough that I can still be entertained and not feel like I'm being insulted just because I'm a man or something. I feel like for the most part, I can enjoy the show and not feel like I'm the subject of all the hate in the universe. And I think that's kind of like, what entertainment's for. We should be able to just enjoy stuff without, and, like, it addresses modern issues, and, that's not even that big of a deal itself. Like, just looking at stuff from the perspective of the characters. They live in a real world, not our real world, but they live in a world that's real for them, and they deal with problems that they face in their world, and sometimes those problems are similar to the problems we face in ours, and sometimes they're direct parallels, sometimes there's a little bit here and there, like that guy who's like, I don't mind women superheroes, it's just make your own. It's like, well, but, she didn't make, she just turned into She-Hulk, that wasn't her choice, and so, like, in that context, it's like, and we also got to take stuff from the context of the series and not necessarily the context of our world. Like, I can see if you're saying that in, like, just a movie or something. But it's like, she's not even a replacement for Hulk. She's just another Hulk. And in this world, she exists as a Hulk. And that's really not her choice. So she just exists in this world. And so I think that's, so when we watch it, we also need to take the context of the world of the film. It may not just be like, oh yeah, it's a direct insult to our reality. Because maybe it is kind of, but it's not like, it doesn't have to stick there. Like I saw this movie, The Woman King, and it's like, I don't think that, I know that they lived in a world where it's like, these people were doing slavery and stuff, but they were just people living their lives, and I don't know if they handled the movie well or not, or honestly, there's it's obviously not, it's obviously fictionalized, but it's they still debate, they still address these issues, and to kind of probably make them look a little better than they were. But if you just look at the context, you don't necessarily have to agree with these characters' lifestyle. You just gotta understand that everybody is just a person living their lives, and they're living in the world that they've been put into, and sometimes we gotta just see that that's just how life works, and we just gotta take things as they are, and that doesn't mean that we just have to surrender to bad stuff. And I'm going off into a tangent, but it does. I don't know. It's sometimes you can't always judge how people are gonna feel about certain stuff or do certain stuff at different points of their life when it has nothing to do with anybody who's currently living anyway. So we just gotta just live our lives and do the best we can do, and I think that at the very least, She-Hulk creates an interesting discussion topic, and I think that if you want to talk about it, then do so in the comments below, and try to be nice to people, because there's gonna be a lot of I mean, I don't get any views anyway, so it's if there's any comments at all, I think that that would be a miracle. But it's just I think it's just enjoy the movies and take them as they are, discuss them. Don't hate people who have different opinions, and that's just that. And I think that yeah. I hope you enjoyed this talk or whatever, and if that's everything, I think I'm going to go. Thank you for watching, and bye.